thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be part of this conversation. We really appreciate it. I would just like to start off on a very easy note and invite you to introduce yourselves. I think I'll do this in alphabetical order, which would then mean that Alexis, you do get to introduce yourself first. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and about your business?
Yes, my name is Alexis Zuma Angira. I am the founder and CEO of Kakia Oils. Kakia Oils is a community interest agribusiness that partners with smallholder farmers. Basically, what we do is we do market expansion for their plant-based oils so that from that, they're able to sustain their livelihoods.
My name is Razana Siddiq Sumra. I am the founder and managing director of Novea Capital Insurance Agency. One more title I hold is a mother. I was blessed with a set of twin boys 6 years ago. My sons, though so young, they teach me so much, like I was saying earlier. They inspire me to keep moving forward and to make the best of what I have. Insurance is my passion, and helping people improve their ability and quality in educating them on insurance, and generally just helping them sleep better at night, knowing they are covered is my driving force. My journey in insurance began at Chase Bank, actually, which is now SBM Bank. And for a while, I was actually the head of corporate, which was exciting until I realized that I wanted to do more. Like there was more I could give out. And that's when I took the leap and I started my own company from the comfort of my living room. And new beginnings are always tough, especially when it comes to convincing clients that you're the best option for them. Because I had no office, no reputation for the new company, many of them looked at me as a briefcase insurer. But with God's blessings, here I am today now.
So I'm the CEO and founder of Impact Dev Africa. What we do at Impact Dev Africa is to accelerate access to private capital, and also try to increase the intake of, the understanding of instruments such as trade finance, which are not commonly used. I think clients around are more used to instruments within the banking, as such as overdraft and normal fixed deposit, and so just trying to educate the community on what is available outside there that they can plug on. And that I wear a different hat, whereby I'm with young women social entrepreneurs as an advisor, trying to also see how we can build communities that promote impact investments.
When you think of the term business leader, what do you think of? What comes to mind?
Okay, so for me, a business leader is someone who has a strong head over their shoulders, someone who never takes their eye off the ball, and someone who knows exactly what they want to achieve. A good leader is also one who values the team behind them, because remember, you cannot do it alone. You can never move ahead alone. There's always somebody behind you who's always pushing you, and that's your team, your staff. Focused as they are, that's where, for me, that's what it's all about. They're involved in everything, and they provide the necessary support to actually thrive to move ahead. So that's what it means for me as a leader.
It's quite interesting. When I think about a business leader, really, I think about somebody who has seen a gap, maybe in the society or in their environment, and decided that, you know what, I'm going to take lead in addressing this particular gap. And in addressing that gap, I see a courageous person, whether male or female. I see somebody who is visionary. I see somebody who is looking to be vulnerable at some point, so that people are able to learn that they're also human in whatever they are looking to achieve. I see somebody who can pull others up, sort of what we were discussing earlier, mentorship, able to take people under their wings and mentor them or walk with them through that journey. I see somebody who is looking to improve the situation around them. And of course, being that it's business, of course, they're also there to make money, and hopefully they make money that would also in one way or another go to support the very community that they come from. So I agree with Fazana, they must have a a solid idea they must have a head over their shoulders and are able to drive that idea that they have and make it grow, and also have others under their wings, and together they do so much more for the society and the world at large.
I think when I think about the term business leader, I'm looking at confidence, who's persistent, and who is innovative in their business. Inventive, I would say. The reason why I say that is because you might find just a leader who just goes with the rest, and they're not going with the times. They're not going with looking forward to what could be the transformation that is required to a particular industry. So someone who has a lot of knowledge and who's able to pass that to the community in a way that they can influence. So being a good communicator and inspiring is one of the outstanding features, I would say, for a business leader.
Do you ever see yourself as a business leader?
Growth is definitely part of the journey, and I also had mentioned that male or female. So for me, when you're talking about business leadership, there are different levels of it depending on the number of years maybe one has been doing whatever they've been doing for. And so my business might be young, but as it is now, I am a leader of whatever it is I've chosen to take care of in terms of business, whatever challenge I've decided that we are addressing as an enterprise. So I feel like business leadership comes at different levels. So the person who's been in my industry maybe, or another industry for 30 years, is just a well-seasoned, leader who has been doing this for 30 years. I have been doing this for 3 years now. I'm a business leader who has been doing this for 3 years. So male or female, you are a leader in your own right. And I feel like there's always learning opportunities that make you better if you're brave enough to embrace them and decide that, you know what, we can actually also incorporate that because it makes our journey better. It makes our journey a lot more encompassing in a way. So male or female, really business leadership is open for people who are able to take it up and run with it. Interestingly, with the COVID hitting us, I've seen a lot of my friends having to close down their businesses, and that was sad because those were businesses that, in my opinion, were going to do very well, but they've had to shut them down. And that doesn't mean that their leadership has stopped at that. It just means that they have to reinvent themselves to get up again and get going.
I'm just curious to find out, in your businesses, what has been the most significant change? What happened? A year ago about this time, I think we went into lockdown as a country and accepted that COVID was a reality for us in Kenya. What has been the most significant change in your business?
So I can tell you, we were hit really hard in the insurance industry because remember, COVID is related to health. And when we actually had to close during the whole lockdown, it also made us go back to our books and our finances, and we had to lay off quite a few people and close down, shut down offices, and actually go back to the living room where we started from. Only difference is that this time it wasn't as hard as it was before because the circumstances made us get there. At the same time, I can't say it was a bad thing because technology took up a space that I think should have been done a very long time ago because everything has gone online. Sadly, some people did lose their jobs, and sadly, maybe I should say the courier services as well reduced because there's not much of delivering certificates or delivering policies. Everything is just online, and we can send it to you via WhatsApp or via email. So in a way, it was a bad thing because we had to lay off people and it became quite harder on us financially. But in a way, it also made us realize that technology should have taken place back before this whole COVID started. So I must say we now don't work 5 days a week. We now work 7 days a week at nearly the most odd hours. So, but who's complaining? As long as the business is running, we're still happy. It got harder with time, but I think now we're used to it because it's also the comfort zone from working from home. You see, you get to do a lot from home as well, and it gives us more time to do other stuff while we're still at home. So it was a hit on a 60%, but a 40%, it's taught us quite a bit.
Fazana says we are working full time. I came to the realization that, you know what, I'm not only my business. Unfortunately, sometimes it's hard to see that demarcation, but I have to give time even for my own body to rest and, you know, give a lot more time to these people. So I just decided that, you know what, on Sundays, I'm not doing anything related to my business. So you get inquiries, you get orders on Sundays, and it takes my entire being to not address or take care of, you know, such orders. So I simply go like, I'm sorry, we are in receipt of your orders, but I will take care of it first thing Monday morning, you know, because I realized you're always on that mode now where you want to, it's not you wanting, but you find yourself always, you know, doing what you're meant to be doing in your business. And it's unfortunate if you don't put that, that stop to it where you're saying from this time to this time, then you would be working for like 23 hours and maybe even sleeping for only 1 hour, which would be crazy. So I like that this finds you in a certain mood. So what has been the greatest change? As at March 2020, at times such as this, we were 2 years old as a business. And so we were like, you know what? The first 1 year was great. We were trying to understand this market and everything. So let's now try the export market, especially the regional market, where we would be sending maybe our oils to Uganda and working to see how we can get into Rwanda. And this should work because we already made contact with some people and we think we can use those to get into those markets, to get into those particular markets. But then you hear that the first plane from China or wherever has come into the country. We're like, what? Is the China the one that is, you know, which of course, you know how that story went. And then the lockdown happens and we are like, okay, export cannot work now. We have never considered going into retail because as far as I'm concerned, retail is quite intensive. It is intensive in terms of capital. It is intensive in terms of emotional involvement or emotional investment that one does. Retail will get you talking to one person for like 6 hours and they end up taking the smallest unit of your whatever it is you're selling. So for me, I've always avoided retail until such a time when maybe I would have more hands on board and would be able to address that. But here we were, the manufacturers we were working with in Kenya were either shut down or were operating at bare minimum. So basically they were not picking oils from us. The ones that we had in the pipeline actually just told us, Alexis, we have to hold off until such a time when we can be certain that, you know, things will work out. So we can go ahead and place orders with you. So it left us at a very precarious situation. And so I personally went spinning for like 2 months. I was like, what is happening? I can't shut down. I can't be in a position where at any one point I would be telling people that I shut down. I am too young to shut down. That's what kept ringing in my head. And so after 2 months, I was like, you know what? Actually, the retail I was avoiding is what maybe I need to start doing a lot of experimentation with now. And so we start bottling the oils in smaller units. We start, you know, toying around with mixing oils and butters. And of course, the first batch is horrible. And I'm like, who would even buy this? I wouldn't buy this, you know. And before you know it, the third attempt gives us a better blend of the oils and butters. And by the time we are doing our sixth blend of oils and the butters, we have an amazing mix. The only problem was we didn't realize that as you're mixing these things, you need to have a formula that you're following, you know? So you have a nice mix now, but you can't tell how much oil you put, so you can't replicate it because it was a trial and error. So that was an interesting, quite expensive journey. But by the time we were hitting July, we had a very good blend that really worked for most of our clients. And so we go onto our Facebook page our Instagram, social media platforms, and we are like, we have these barters that we are putting together, and if you're interested, give us a shout. And the first person buys, the second person, before you know it, now we have constant orders of people looking for the whipped body batter that we are doing. And so that was quite an encouragement, considering that for me, it was a basic experiment I was carrying out, and I didn't expect to sell more than 20, jars of the whipped body batter. So as we're delivering this, people are telling us, oh, do you have something for the hair? Because this is just for my body, but I need something for the hair. And I am like, you know what? I'll come up with something for the hair, because during that period also, I was experiencing some bit of hair loss. And so I was working around with some oils around the same problem, and my hair actually grew back. So I was like, you know what? I can actually bottle that experience, And so I go about to put together what I had been using for my hair loss challenge. And then we bottled the hair oil that we are now retailing. So it was an interesting period for me. COVID came and hit us hard, but then again, it pushed us to some place that maybe we would not have gone to, maybe as soon as we did. But for me, it was really a blessing in disguise, if you will.
The biggest change, or the biggest evolution based on this, is joining the disruption industry. With my previous life wearing banking hats, I think very traditional way of providing access to capital for clients. But when I look at it right now, you find that clients cannot go to the bank. Sometimes they're restricted. You cannot travel from one place to the other, yet you still want your business to to access capital for growth and also for sustainability, especially during this time. So what my business has done as part of that is to find a way to connect impact entrepreneurs and impact investors, such that you can even speak to the investors directly and also have a bigger pool, as opposed to just having the few banks that are around your network, or the few financial institutions that you could be, within your area. So using digital systems to make sure that clients can be able to access capital, especially during this time when it's very much needed.
What has the role of digital been in your business since the pandemic came?
Wow. The role of technology and the business, like I mentioned earlier, we had to go into retail and get products that we thought would speak to our clients as they stayed home and worked from home. And so for me, YouTube did a lot of training for me. I really had to look to YouTube to get to understand what maybe I needed to do to come up with a better product. I remember mentioning a lot of it went to waste because I had no clue maybe about what the formulations looked like. And so YouTube did a lot of that for me. And then at the end of it, at the tail end of it, I now got a cosmetic formulator to just verify that what I was doing actually was shelf stable and was able to, be out there and stay for long without going bad. So for me, that was a key feature that I would say worked well for us. And then other than that, of course, now the payments, we were doing a lot of payments via the M-Pesa and not really wanting to handle cash as it is. And other than that, just the usual research that we do for the projects that we look to do later this year. So that the research around the very projects also has been very much based on technology, using computers just to access a lot of paperwork and research papers out there.
So how has the logistics aspect worked? Has technology been useful, or has it been a challenge for you to get your product to the people after once you've received the payment, then what?
Oh my goodness, that was quite a mess, because now what happened was, of course, we received the orders. through online means, and then now getting the orders to the clients. That was a mess when we started. So we really had to just partner with somebody who is somebody whose work is purely logistics. You know, they run a delivery service so that they're able to do that for us. Because at some point I found myself spending so much time looking into logistics, or this did not go to the right place or something like that. So it has meant that partnerships have had to also save the day. And so the person now working or doing the work around logistics came on board to assist us with that, so that we received our orders, we logged them in, and then we gave that out to the delivery people who would now get them to the clients, you know. But for some of our oils, because we work with farmer groups in Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, that was a mess, getting the consignments of maybe shea butter and some of the essential oils into the country. To date, that is still a huge mess. I have had to rely on a friend who traveled to Rwanda this week to come back with my shipment of oils, because getting oils from Rwanda and some places in Tanzania has been a mess completely. Cross-border trade has just been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I really hope that we can find a way out of that, because what it means then is, as a young business, when your clients come to you on 2-3 occasions and you don't have that product, then really, I don't think they'll ask for the same a fourth time. They're likely to look elsewhere. Meanwhile, you know you have a very good product that works very well for that market, but because you are not able to get it from your source, then you're stuck. You really can't do much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What about you, Farzana? What has the role of digital been in your business, and also looking at cashless transactions and mobile money? How has that transformed your business?
Okay, so I can tell you that the digital side of it, I can't lie, has actually saved time. In the sense of, I'll use a perfect example. When somebody needs a certificate, an insurance certificate, remember we had to actually pick it from the insurance company, deliver it to the client, regardless of where their location is. Now we just have to get the details, and like I said earlier, we can send it to you on email, or we can WhatsApp it to you in order for the client to actually print it. So the digital side, I can say it saved a lot of time. Like, I'm not having a client, bombarding me and telling me, I've been waiting for an hour for your rider, where is he? So it's actually ping, in 3 minutes he has his certificate. So that's a plus point for us on the digital side. On the payment side, not the best, because you can have someone tell you, send me the certificate, and as your rider comes, he can collect the payment, or I can M-Pesa it to you, or he can collect a check. But when it actually happens, there's no check, there's nothing. Despite us sending our bank details or the insurance company details for the payments to go through, or for them to send the payments, it doesn't happen. So you have to keep following up with the client. And now, because everybody has a shift of working from home a few days and working at the office for a few days, you'll actually realize you don't know the person's shift, because they haven't shared that with you. So when you're actually calling them, it's either they'll pick or they won't pick, or they'll tell you, oh, I'm not in the office today, or today I'm working from home. And the excuses keep rotating. So it's actually gotten harder for us in terms of collecting the premiums, because you had a small debtors list, but now you're actually floating with the largest debtors list ever. So it's been a challenge when it comes to the payments. Regardless of us having the cashless payments, the online payments. Funny enough, with M-Pesa should be the most easiest thing, since we have a pay bill and everything. But on the payment side, it's really, really tough for us. But on the digital side, we love the testimonials that we're getting, that we actually get from the clients. This was fast. Hey, I love this. Hey, can I get the, that's why I said in the beginning that before we worked 5 days a week or 6 days a week, but now we work 7 days a week, because you'll find somebody saying, Kazana, I'm actually going to pick up a car tomorrow, which is a Sunday. Can I get the certificate first thing in the morning as I'm going to pick the car? So you can imagine Sunday 7 a.m. there you are on your laptop or your IRA systems or whatever, and you're getting the certificate, and bang, he has it on his WhatsApp, and he can even print it from wherever it is. So that part, I can say we've saved a lot of time, and we're loving the response that we're getting back.
Janet, what has digital been for your business? How has it helped or hindered you during this period?
Yeah, I think I would say digital has actually accelerated what I do, and having clients be able to share documentation and sign a document as quickly, not having to have to look for two directors to come to an office, which takes some time, or booking meetings just to exchange documents. And you can't really fill in so many meetings in a day. So I think for me, it has actually worked somehow in my favor. And I think it's actually making it easier for me to reach more people at the same time. I think what just needs to be done is, as people change to more ways of working digitally, I think just the sensitization that, even raising capital and speaking to financial institutions can still be done online, and using safety measures. So I think there's still a few people who are not comfortable with that idea. So you really have to have more discussions with them on phone for them to feel comfortable and for them to know who you are, as opposed to the traditional way where you have to go and show your face. So there's still a little bit where you have to prove yourself, but in essence, it's actually easier to close on transaction than before.
And if you could go back 1 year in time, what would you do differently? Let's start with Janet. What would you do differently?
I think for me, I'll be more deliberate about supporting women in, financially. I think there's been a lot of support systems in the past in regards to technical support, training, motivation, all these things that we do for women. And I think they're really important. They're still important even to this age, and they continue to be important. But I feel there's a gap that still needs to be addressed. You find that, as a business owner, if you're a woman, you have to do 3 times as much how a man has to do to just get to raise capital for his business. So women need to be addressed more rapidly, because they are in high positions. There's reports that shows that women are actually running companies and businesses that are very that have high value for so just being more deliberate about that. I know there's challenges that are these movements that have been formed. For example, the 2X challenge, which calls for G7 and other DFIs to join together to mobilize about $3 billion for financing for women in emerging markets. When I think about this movement, is pretty much for when you think about DFIs, the money might not be directly given to the SBGs, the small and growing businesses, or the startups. So I think we still need to have that discussion in ways and movements that can actually help accelerate the access to finance for women. So it's something that I'm starting, and I've started trying to look at impact investors that are focusing on SDG 5. And I think if I started that way back, I would have pushed it further by now.
To be honest, I don't think absolutely nothing. I believe I wouldn't change anything, or I wouldn't do anything differently, because I believe each day teaches you to improve to become a better person at what you do. I mean, my experience has made me, I imagine having experience in the industry for 15 years, but as I started my own, there were a lot of things that I was learning, and there were a lot of things that I was implementing, and it actually made me realize that I am my own motivator. I am my own go-to person to actually move not 2, 3, but 10 steps ahead in every decision that I make. There are people behind me that I have to think about their livelihood. So I would say each day teaches me something different about the business, something different about the industry, something different at what I get to do every single day, something different when I go and see a client, when I try and change. Each day is a learning experience for me. And doing something differently would, no, I think absolutely not. I love the way I'm taking it each day, because it's like I said, it's a learning experience, and it's only you that can move yourself ahead in life to do better and not go back. So for me, it's moving. Every day is a moving step. I move one step today, but tomorrow I move 5 more steps. So
Wow.
I'm happy. I'm happy at where I've reached and what I
Great.
think of going further.
What about you, Alexis? What would you change if you went back 1 year? What would you do differently?
Interestingly, when I had you ask Janet that question, I was like, wow. And I tried thinking, and I'm thinking, and this is something for me. I have thought of the lessons I've picked during the period we've been home, but not necessarily what had changed, because I think I am a spiritual person, and so I don't believe in coincidences. I believe things happen when they're supposed to happen, and there's a higher being that actually controls a lot, actually everything that happens, you know. And so I believe that in every person's life, COVID came about to do one thing or another. So maybe for us, it came to throw us into the retail market. And actually, we've seen that it's working quite well for us, you know. For you, maybe it has taught you something else that maybe you'd not have learned if Corona or COVID-19 hadn't come about, you know. So I don't think I would have done anything differently. And so I just pick the lessons and run with them. And I hope that we are not as forgetful as sometimes human beings tend to be, that something happens to you, you think you've learned the lessons, and then you go on to do things the same way. I really hope that we can take this with us for the long haul, because a lot has happened and we have changed from the people we were. And so we should build more resilient businesses now that should be able to weather any storm that, we can get ahead of us.
How is the future going to look for you? When you look at the trends that are arising from the pandemic, what's going to change in your industry, and how are you going to respond going in the future?
Actually, we're already seeing the changes. For example, for us who are interested in going into the export market, you already are seeing that some of those trade fairs that you had to have hundreds of thousands of shillings to attend are already happening online. And so the cost of such events have been cut by almost 70%, because you only need to pay some sort of small fee for you to access the portal or the platform where that is happening. And then you're able to interact with hundreds of suppliers or other exporters, you know? So I feel like it's already happening, and I don't see it maybe going back 100% to what it used to be. So you're able to go into rooms, deal rooms, and talk to people who likely are possibly going to be your investors, or people who are interested in your product, or people who you can have partnerships with. So for me, that's a big plus, because I feel like, especially for young businesses like myself, a lot of money sometimes goes into some of these trade fairs and everything. And because you're not truly adept at it, you're still in the learning stage of it all, you can spend a lot of money before you bag your first client. So that has pretty much changed from what I'm seeing. As far as the retail aspect of it is concerned, there's a lot happening online on social media platforms where people have had to resort to for their hair and body care products. So for us, it has meant that we have to do a whole overhaul of our products so that our packaging is catchier. We are also doing a lot more interesting posts that would, captivate the reader and things like that, because people are online and you can actually see the statistics showing that. So you better have a product that would also catch the eye of the media, social media user, and be able to captivate them enough to want to know how is this maybe being used, and how can I get it, from your end to my end. So that is something I think that us as retailers, we would have to really work around just to make sure that you are on top of your game.
Funny you should say that, Elizabeth. I'll give you a small story before the whole Corona. When we started 3 years ago, we were trying to see what we can do differently as an insurance agency and how we can actually, like change in terms of coming into technology, digital innovations, new products. We were looking for all sorts of platforms and all sorts of ways to actually come out to be different from all the other brokers and agents. Funny enough, at that time, we had no answers. We had nothing in place. We didn't know where to start or where to end. And today, 3 years down the line, innovation is now the new game. It's actually the game where, although insurance is founded on the premises of helping customers avoid major losses or unexpected happenings, innovation is actually what is at the forefront now for insurance. It's actually more like it's digitized, it's changed everything. It's made customers more cautious about knowing what their products are because there's a time to take them through. You'll find a client who'll say, Fazana, I'm working 8 to 5. Can you and I talk at 9 o'clock after I've settled my children, I have had my dinner, and I'm at peace, and you can take me through my policies one step at a time. Whereby before, you're actually going for a meeting and they've given you 15, 20 minutes and they don't want to know their policies. They're like, okay, I trust you, go ahead, insure me. Now they want to know about it. Now it's, tell me what I don't know, teach me what I don't know, what should I be afraid of, what should I expect, and that is what we wanted to do from 3 years ago. And it's like I like what Alexis said, that things happen for a reason. I believe I'm as well quite, I can't say holy, but I'm also a very spiritual person. So I believe in signs. I believe in signs from God. And I found this as our perfect innovative time to actually take clients and people through insurance and not always think that, insurance is a scam or we're just out to make money. And I like the fact that we've touched the ages between 25 and 35, which are the most delicate age for where they need to understand, because you find someone getting married but has no clue about a medical cover, has no clue about the last expenses. They have no clue what they should do, for future retirement, like pension schemes and stuff like that. So for me, this COVID was a blessing in disguise, and it was a lesson learned that 3 years ago, what we couldn't put in place, we have put in place now. And we're educating more people than you can ever imagine that we could have educated 3 years. We were trying to come up with a lot of packages and products. So when I say innovation is now the name of the game, believe it, it's actually the game for the next, I guess, once even our children grow up, it's going to be, technology is going to have to take over all that.
Wow, amazing. Janet, is it true for you as well? Is innovation at the center of everything that's happening in your industry, and are things changing going forward as a result of a pandemic, or do you see things going back to what they were before the pandemic?
I believe that people have to change. Innovation is definitely at the center of it. When you think about cashless payments, I think it will be difficult for someone to start going back to traditional ways of handling cash. Not to say that they're not going to be there, because it's not every town or every country that's in that particular space. But certainly the COVID has come to accelerate the uptake of some of these products. In terms of priorities that I see shifting, some of the things that have happened, especially in the industry of finance, you find like foreign aid and the government spending doesn't, the foreign aid is not going to be available. There's already a huge cut from international providers. When you think about FDI, there's been outflows, obviously, because of the pandemic. So I think that's something that's going to change the way we should think about our own financing. If we think about SDG financing in Africa, we need to be able to start doing that ourselves. And also small businesses crippling because they cannot access the finance that is normally is normally given to SMEs, because now they are termed as even higher risk. Before they were high risk, but right now it's even higher risk because you're not able to achieve your the kind of productivity you were achieving before the COVID. So I think we have to find ways in which that we can still support SDG financing. And when I say that, it's more clients who are implementing solutions that don't just touch on the financial element, but address social and environmental matters, which is very important. I think for a sustainable future, we have to follow the impact investing methodology, which addresses this. Now, I think the industry will have to look for alternative sources of financing going forward, and this is what Impact Dev Africa, my company is addressing, and also increasing the flow of capital as well to change the mindset of companies, the investors, from just looking at getting just their return, but also trying to see what else can they finance and how can they support these companies. So just to mention a few around how my priorities have shifted, especially because of the pandemic.
Thank you, ladies. I'm just looking at the time, and I think we should get to wrapping it up. So I'm just going to go round robin. Alexis, and then Farzana, and then Janet, and ask you any parting words. If you were talking to other women entrepreneurs faced with a pandemic or a similar crisis, what would your advice be? So Alexis, what would you advise?
Before I advise, I was really hoping I can add two more things that came to mind.
Yes, definitely, go ahead.
Yes, on the issue of the trends that we see, and I've seen a lot of collaboration between firms or between companies. And for me, it was just an indication that going forward, there'll have to be a lot of collaboration, because the idea is you don't have to do it alone. If probably I have the oils and somebody else sells loofahs, then probably we need to come together, do a beautiful basket, and present it to the public for sale. So I have seen that happening quite a lot, since the pandemic hit. And for me, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't have to do it alone, really. If Elizabeth or Fazana or Janet is also doing something that we can put together and present to the public, I think that's one great way of still reaching the very market that we intend to reach. And then secondly, for us as Kakia Oils, I feel like we'll have to fast track what we thought we would be doing probably in 2022, which is a project that is targeting women and youth out in Western Kenya. We already know that that's an area that was hard hit by the HIV pandemic when it was at the height of it, and we still are in the throes of the impact of the HIV scourge. And so when Corona came, more often than not, we have elderly people taking care of children out there. So when Corona hit, and a good majority of people, actually statistics put it at 2 million people losing their jobs, then it meant that money that is usually sent out to the rural areas, maybe to parents or grandparents or something like that, that was also affected. And so from what I hear, even from the groups when we are talking to them, is where's the money? Alexis, can we sell a lot more oil? Alexis, how can you help us with this? So for me, I know that the impact of Corona will take a longer period for us to be able to address the issue of poverty, which I believe we had done a lot in terms of gain on, but now we have sort of reversed. So a lot has to be done. So it's my wish that businesses can do more than just what they're doing now. We have to go back and try to find ways of getting the people out there, especially in the rural areas, to be able to find their footing, so to speak. So ours is a program where we are hoping we can go back and have them do a lot of planting of oil plants, which we can buy from them at fair trade prices. And then that would help them on a very long term to be sustainable financially. So maybe Janet is a person to talk to, or just getting to have these projects run so that we are helping people out there to stay on their feet whenever COVID hits or any other thing, God forbid, that might happen in the future, then they'll have that source of income that they've been has been sustaining them. And of course, with that comes a lot of financial literacy and everything. But really, I believe that going forward, a lot of businesses still have to give a lot more to people out there who really have nothing at all to support their livelihood. Parting shot. I feel like for women, maybe the ones I've been able to talk to, there's a lot of fear coupled with the lack of know-how. People feel like they don't have adequate skills to pursue that idea that they have in mind. And so that sort of has a hold on them to the point where they'd rather stay where they are than pursue this thing that in their head is already not going to work because they don't know how. But I would really encourage women that there's so much support out here. There are people that you don't even know, but are willing to help you. But you have to make the first step towards that idea that you have in mind. Look at me. When I stepped out, I didn't know I would meet Elizabeth, but I meet her and she set pace for what needs to be done in what I am doing, you know? And here we are now, we can confidently speak about what we do and possibly what we dream of doing in the near future. So I would say that the pandemic happened. We are now in another chapter, totally probably different from what we had imagined, but women should actually step out with courage and be able to say that this is what I want to do. I don't know how to do it, so possibly please help me find a way of doing it. And then together we can do so much more. So I hope that they can overcome that fear and just know that there's so much help around. There's so much resources on the internet and elsewhere. They just need to step out, look for these programs that are working with women, and just get going on what they have in their hearts in as far as pursuing their dreams is concerned.
Wow, that's an amazing parting shot. Thanks. Farzana, what would your parting shot be?
I'm actually going to say, I'm going to give you a little story. I have actually, more than having a woman as a role model, I have a mom, yes, but more than having my mom as my role model in my life and my stages at where I was broken down and I was down and I didn't know when I would stand up or how to stand up. My role model has always been my brother. And not only is he my brother, he's my best friend, he's my enemy, we call him Simba Kali. He always taught me one thing in life. He always told me there is no such thing as failure. It's only experience. And if you feel that you want to sit on a corner and cry, then cry for the rest of your life, because there's nobody who's going to come and give you a shoulder to stand up. There's nobody who's going to come and tell you, here, take $1 million and go and spend it on or do whatever you have to do. Not even me as your brother. I'm only going to tell you, you need to think what you want to do in your life. You need to take risks. You need to understand that employment is not the only thing, even if you get fired or even if you lose your job. I can give you a joke. He actually got me an internship with one of his friends. And because he was so strict, one of his friends was running an air conditioning business. And because he was so strict, I cried the first day and I said, I cannot work with your friend. I quit. And he tells me, it's okay that you quit. What's the next step? Where do you think you're going to go? Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? Certainly not staying with your mother. And, you know, he's always been my backbone till today. Till today, he probably knows more about me than my mom does. And my mom says, yeah, you'll never open up to me. You'll never tell me anything. You two have your thing going on. So I would tell women out there, your role model or your best friend can be anyone, can be a woman, can be a man. But when you look at your role model, let them understand where you want to be. I mean, you look at somebody, but you want to be better than somebody. I always say I want to be better than my brother. Funny enough, my children have that trait in them. They compete with him, you know, that they want to be better than what he is at. So I would tell everybody exactly what he told me. Life is a lesson. You can either learn from it, or you can either kick it and say goodbye and tell yourself the same thing. It's learned, the experiences is what teaches you to get where you are in life. And that's why I said I wouldn't want to go 1 year or 10 years back, because every day is a learning experience for me. Today I've taken one step, tomorrow I'll take two. And I mean, with all that I have done in life, I've been at Chase Bank, I've been with so many corporates, but today here I am sitting with my own company. It wasn't an easy task, but I did it. And every time I cried, I remember every time I approached a client and they said, oh, you work from home, oh, I don't know if I should trust you. I cried for 6 months. I cried and said, I'm a failure, I'm this. And he always told me, he says, you know what, there will be that one client who will pick you up, and you have to still put your head up high and walk and say, no, this is my start, this is my call, and this is what I want to do. And do it. Take the risk, because that's the only way, sweetheart, you will learn. That is what Simbakali had to tell me. And I tell that, I'm going to tell that to everybody out there. Pick yourself up. Life is a risk. COVID came, yes. God forbid more will come. God forbid something else will happen. What are you going to do? Aliens are going to come. So if aliens are roaming around, are we not going to continue with our lives? Take the risk. Move. That's the reality. I've cried, I've fallen, I've failed, and he's only given me the words. Never the finances, never nothing. Mm-hmm. He's just given me the words and told me, experience teaches you to stand up. And here I am, single-handedly standing up, raising my children single-handedly. And I thank God and I thank him for all that. So guys, stand up, take the risk, you can do it. And always tell yourself that.
Thanks, Farzana. That's amazing. What about you, Janet?
I think, in my view, and also in line with what Alexis had said, I think, women sometimes we doubt ourselves. We have a lot of knowledge. We have a lot of that we can offer to other people, but sometimes we are doubtful of what we can achieve. When I look at the women leaders and women organizations, during COVID, there's many that have demonstrated that they have skills and knowledge of how to handle this pandemic. And, like some of the countries that have been led by women, I think I don't have to mention them here, but there are very many examples of the top, especially in the West, that are led by women that have actually demonstrated their efforts in recovery and showing that how they handled this situation is better than other countries. And that just shows us that, we need to just trust in what we do. Of course, we need to tap on the available resources. We need to tap on other women, other movements that are supporting women. And I think I really feel happy that right now there's so many things that you can do when you're working from home. It's not that you had to travel to a different country, to a different continent to access these resources. They are actually available. So it's to encourage women to support each other, to look for the help that they need. And I think challenge is, in line with the Women's Day theme, we need to challenge the status quo and become different, and show what we can do, and what we are meant to achieve should not be curtailed by our limiting beliefs or any other thing that's around us. I think we can make it in whatever we want to do.
But I think it's also the year of working from home. So that has really been great, because then we get to know what they're good at. They get to know what we're good at. It's been an interesting experience working in the same space together.
Yeah, it is. Every time I'm at work or something, they'll tell me, they say, Mommy, you're doing your insurance stuff, yeah? Mm-hmm. Tell us more. So, I'm graduate. So far, they only know about the motor insurance, and they're only 6 years old. So every time I go for a meeting, mm-hmm. they ask me, Mommy, which insurance are you going to sell? And I said, I'm going to sell now the entire thing. Mm-hmm. Then they tell me, best of luck and win the test. This okay, it was a challenging time, but I think this was the best time to actually have the family bond and
Yes.
actually have your children enveloped in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, I mean, now they're realizing mommy does work, mommy
Mm-hmm.
does have to work for us to have food on our table. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a learning experience for them as well.
Yes.
No, you're right, Fazana. I deal a lot with natural raw butters and plant-based oils.
Yeah.
And I can tell you for free, now I can easily send someone to get me lavender or get me rosemary or whatever, and they will go and get it because
Yes,
they've come to learn exactly what I do
mommy
with
does.
specific oils, So
Yeah.
when I'm beating my whipped body butter, they're like, Mama, you sure you're done? I'm like, what? You've not beat it as much as you usually beat the others. I'm like, I was timing it. Today it sounds like you did last time.
You did a shortcut.
So it's really, I feel like we have rediscovered them and
Yes.
gotten to know them at such a deep level, which
Yes.
for me, of course, we all appreciate that now they understand what we do. We've gotten to also understand them much better. I feel like 2020 was actually a gift in a way.
It was
The way
the
they say silver lining, this was the silver
Yeah.
lining.
That was a 2020. My garden turned into a farm. My garden actually turned into a farm, and they keep telling my mate, let's water because we need to save money and we're going to sell the vegetables. Like it made me, like I said, the family bond that we didn't have, the time bonding that we didn't have because we were so
Yes.
busy in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. 2020 was the regardless of everybody saying, oh, COVID hit us hard or COVID did this. But COVID also taught us a lot of things. It taught us to save. It taught us to spend more family time while working, more attention at places we didn't give attention to.
It's true.
So I consider it a learning lesson, actually, for me.
Totally.
Yeah.